Okay, so Be'ezras Hashem, we are continuing with our weekly shir on the Zohar on the Torah, and trying to connect the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu with the Torah of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the watery chesed of Chochmah, and the fiery gevura of Bina, the Min Hamayim Meshisuhu, the bittul of Chochmah, that self-nullification of Moshe Rabbeinu, Va'anachnu Ma, what are we? Along with the Eish Kodesh of the Butzina de Nahira, of the illumination of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who understood the secret of Yachalani Liptar Sa'olam and Hadin, that Rabbi Shimon had the ability to stand upon the Nekuda Pnimis of what it meant to be a Merkava to Ani Hashem Elokechem. Rabbi Shimon, through that koyach of Bina, was the recognition that the Ben Adam, to be human, is higher than a Malach. And it's taking pride in that reality of being human, taking pride in the necessity of responding to the Malachim, that we die, we struggle, and that's why we get the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu, on the other hand, is the absolute bittul, the bittul hamuchletes of va'anachnu ma, we're nothing, afraid to answer the malachim, because there's no takifus of the ani in that place. The self is nullified in the light of chachma. And the tachlis of unifying Rashbi and Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe and Rashbi, is the revelation of ani va'ayin b'vasachas, the koyach of the ayin, the bittul ha'amiti of Moshe Rabbeinu, and the ani ha'elyon of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and the secret of Yachal Liptar Sa'olam and Hadin. And in that yichud of Moshe and Rashbi, so we have the secret of Emasai Ka'asimar, when will the bitterness go away? When will the bitterness get up to leave? And when will Mashiach Tzidkenu arrive? In the unification of the Ayin Ha'elyon of Moshe Rabbeinu and the Ani Ha'elyon of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And Avada, the Zohar HaKadosh, is always just bringing us back to the impossible infinitude of Torah Shebechsav, because the Tachlis is to come back to the Ayin Ha'elyon, the self-nullification of Moshe Rabbeinu in the secret of Chachma. But the way that we return back to that place is perpetually by the dipping back into that selfhood orientation of the Zohar HaKadosh and the Butzina de Nahira of Bina and Rabbi Shimon. So Rabbi Shimon, which is the Ani Ha'elyon, is always being ma'orer, the Giloy of the Ayin Ha'atzmi, the Ayin Ha'elyon of Moshe Rabbeinu, in that place of the Hishtoikakus that leads to a bittul. And that's the secret of Emasai Ka'asimar. When will Moshe Rabbeinu and Rashbi come together? When will that light be present? And what we have in Parshas Re'eh is a very interesting thing. Not so interesting, but very interesting at the same point. And again, this is kula hai v'ulai, this is all by way of conjecture. But when there's an absence, when there's an apparent absence and a conspicuous absence, so that leads a person to question the lacuna, to look at the lack, to look at that which is missing, and instead of accepting it as simply something that is missing, but rather to be doirish that which is missing, to search out that which is missing, so that we can uncover the true trace of significance that rests within that missing thing. There's two ways of looking at missing things in this world, and both of them are going to be the stages in which a person understands the secret of tzimtzum. At first glance, something missing seems to be inconspicuous. Something is not there. There's no questioning as to why something is not there, because there was no pre-consideration as to the fact that something should be there. And therefore, the absence of something does not call my attention to question the absence of something. That's like the typical detective work where they look at what is present. They look, all the detectives, in trying to discern the true source of an event. So they look at the evidence, they look at what's found. There's no problem about something missing. And then there's the second shlav, which is that I'm so aware that there should be something here that the very reality of the absence of something being there awakens my mind to now try and attempt to dig down even deeper to figure out what the presence here is. This is the second level, where we've spoken about in the past that all absence is not actually absence. Nothing is never not there, like the first perspective that simply sees absence and doesn't care, because why should anything be there anyway? Or that first form of detective work that is searching out evidence based on what can be found versus what is not there. Then there's the second stage of understanding that, wait a second, simsum ena k'pshuto, everything is always there. And memela, when I encounter something not being there, I need to double back down and pay attention to the absence and say, what is this absence teaching me? Because I understand fundamentally that the absence is just another form of presence. And therefore, something being missing, it's not that there's an absence there, but rather there's a presence by way of absence, which means that I have to be doirish the roishim. It has to be dorshe reshumos, in the aspect of kol Yisrael yesh lam chelik lo lam haba. Every person has a chelik in olam haba. Every parsha has a chelik in olam haba. Every paragraph, every pasuk, every word, every letter has a Pesach into Gan Eden. But there's certain neshamos that seemingly don't have a chelek in Olam Haba. There's seemingly certain parshios that don't have a chelek in the Zohar Kadosh. Until Ba'u Dorshe Rishumos, those who sought out the engravings and the irreducible trace of things, seeking out that which is not present and questioning the absence and the conspicuous nature of the absence, in order to come back to a previous level of expression that was so high that I can never even grasp it by way of presence, but only by way of its irreducible trace and the echoes that it left in its absence. And in that place, I come to be doirish the roishim. I come to uncover that even when there's no explicit connection, even when there's no chelik lo'olam haba, even when the Parsha Hakadosha doesn't have a connection to the Zohar Hakadosh, it still has an inherent connection to the Zohar Hakadosh. In fact, it might have an even deeper connection to the Zohar Hakadosh. And this is the second type of detective work, lahavdil. Like we see by Sherlock Holmes, the element of Sherlock Holmes is that it's searching out the conspicuous absence rather than the available evidence. It's paying attention to what is not there. And by paying attention to what is not there, a person awakens their mind to the recognition that everything should be there. And so I have to learn to understand the conspicuous absences as teaching me something. All of that is to say that when we look in Parshas Re'eh, we don't see a chelek of the Zohar HaKadosh. Last week we spoke about it in Parshas Ekev. We only have Reah Mehemna, we only have the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu, but in Parshas Re'eh there's no chelek of the Zohar HaKadosh, and most certainly not the only Parsha that doesn't have a chelek of the Zohar HaKadosh associated with it. But the Chedushay Harim in his Sefer HaSchus elsewhere, with regards to other apparent absences of the Zohar HaKadosh in the Parsha, darshans why that is. Darshans why that is, and so anytime we find that there is a conspicuous absence and that the Torah HaKadosha does not have a counterpart in the Zohar HaKadosh, or the Zohar HaKadosh is not found in orientation to that particular Parsha, so it behooves us to try and search out where is the connection to the Zohar, because there's no such thing as Torah Shebechsav that's not connected to the Zohar HaKadosh. There's no such thing as the light of Moshe Rabbeinu as it exists in and of itself without the natural desire and demand to draw it down into the Kelim Shonim of Torah Shebal Peh and the Zohar HaKadosh so that it can be more revealed to us. The secret of the Zohar is that it's perpetually revealing that the grasps that we have of the external nature of thinking is always limited in our conception, and that there's always more to be uncovered. The deepest secret of the Zohar HaKadosh is that there's amkus, that there's something more beneath that which the eye sees, and that even though the explanation has been given already, nevertheless, there's more explanation. So the Zohar is always beckoning us to understand the deeper understanding at the heart of the Torah. Not that there's some hidden secret meaning that needs to be understood. That's also true. They're formulas, they're recipes, etc., etc. But ultimately, the simple recognition that there's amkus here is the Ikr Nakuda of the Zohar HaKadosh, is the Ikr Nakuda of the cave that represents a inversion where the land is not jutting outwards, but there's an opening within the land to beckon to the fact that Tachazi, come and see and enter into the cave itself and see the depths upon depths that rest within what appears to be external reality. That's the secret of the Zohar HaKadosh. It's the secret of Omek. It's the secret of Emek HaDavar, the depth of the matter. As the Heilige Yoshe de Reah says, he says that a person can make the mistake in thinking that Pnimius HaTorah is Pnimius HaTorah and Niglos HaTorah are Niglos HaTorah, and that the content of the Torah is ultimately what's going to make the fundamental distinction between the perspective of depth or surface. But says the Heilige Yoshe Devar Emes that in truth, it's not based on content alone, but it's the context in which a person approaches the text in front of them that determines whether it's going to be something that is Pnimi or something that is Chitzoni, whether it's going to be something internalized and real and deep and in touch with the vulnerability of what it means to be a neshama in a guf, or caught up in the externality and the intoxication on the externality of trying to make things easy and to pretend that things are easy in that kind of childish way of understanding a text. And so the Yoshe Devar Emes says that a person can be learning Niglos HaTorah, a person can be studying the most external or exoteric elements of the Torah itself, and ultimately they can be encountering the mystery of the recognition that in the end of the day, I don't know anything at all, and Tachlas Hayadiyah Shalei Neda, and Chasidim learn in Nisht, and that the Chasidim learn in order to come to the place of Ayin, to come to that place of not knowing anything whatsoever. And a person can be learning Pnimius HaTorah, they could be learning the Zohar HaKadosh, they could be learning the Kitvei Arizal. And even though there's a segula inherent within the text itself, nevertheless, their mind can be focused completely on the externalities of this world, on the kinatayv and kavod of all of it, without any desire to transmit that from the thickness of the mind into the openness of the heart. And so it's not so dependent on the content as much as the context. And that's the secret of the Zohar HaKadosh, perpetually telling us to look further, look further, look further. And this is really the secret that the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh says, and it's echoed in recent history in the name of Rav Elchanan Wasserman Hashem Yimkom Domo, that ultimately when we say Torah Hashem Tamima Meshivas Nafesh, that the Torah of Hashem is complete and it restores the soul of the individual, meaning the restoration of the soul, which is the prerequisite of entering into the Torah, which is the recognition that if I don't have this Nukuda in Torah, I'm not going to make it in the next moment, and Lule Saraska Sha'ashuai Azavadati, and that I'm poisoned by the Sam Hamavis, and therefore I need the Trufa of the Sam HaChaim of the Torah itself. When a person throws themselves with urgency into the light of the Torah, and there's a Hashavas Nefesh, they restore something that was lost, meaning that a previous deficiency was filled. So Torah Hashem Tamima Meshivas Nafesh, that ability for the Torah to restore the strength of the soul back to natural health, back to a healthy soul, so to speak, is ultimately in the secret of Torah Hashem Tamima. What's Torah Hashem Tamima? Torah Hashem Tamima is the secret that with everything said and done, the entire history of the Torah from the unfolding of Har Sinai and outwards until the emergence of Mashiach and Ad V'chlal, even after Mashiach Tzidkenu, all of the revelation, all of the explanation, all of the description, all of the attempt to excavate the depths of meaning and the simplicity of meaning in order the fourfold process of Pardes on every level, when all is said and done, the Torah is still perfect. The Torah is still tamim. The Torah is still as if it has not been opened yet and has not been touched yet in the light of human understanding, because the Torah is the Roshem of Elokus. The Torah is the irreducible trace of the infinite light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and as such, there is an infinite space within the Torah itself that opens itself up to the light of infinity, that the Kav or Ein Sof Kav Yachal, the descent of the infinite back into reality, expresses itself through the ever-changing nature of the Torah as it maintains its fundamental self-sameness throughout the generations of revelation. That there is a shinoi perpetually taking place, as if what we have already understood is absolutely nothing in relationship to what we thought we understood or what we'll come to understand, in spite of the fact that nothing, the backbone of the Torah, doesn't shift even one iota. And that the Torah Chadashim Eitititse and the Torah of Atikas Dima is simply the revelation that all that we thought we knew was ultimately nothing in terms of what we will come to know in the next moment, ad infinitum, in the secret of Kedushasi L'mala Mikdusha Seichem, which is expressed perpetually through the expression of the Gan Eden Mikedem within the Torah itself. Torah Hashem Tamima. That's what the Zohar HaKadosh is coming to teach, that it hasn't even been opened yet. And the Zohar HaKadosh is always, always, always orienting us towards that depth perspective. Towards that depth perspective, telling us to dig deeper and deeper and deeper until we come to that Nahar Hayotzim Yeden to find the secret. And that's what the Zohar HaKadosh beckons a person to do. And with that mindset, when a person opens the Zohar, you don't need to learn the whole Parsha. You don't necessarily even need to learn the Meforshim. You just have to find one line in the Zohar that opens your mind to the reality of the Amkus Shaba Amkus. First and foremost, the awakening of the emotions and the evocativeness and all of those feelings that flood over a person when they begin to read the words of the Zohar Kadosh, when they forget about themselves for a moment, by way of forcing themselves to forget about themselves. So all a person needs is one word in the Zohar Kadosh, one sentence in the Zohar Kadosh to uncover the otzros of Gan Eden and the otzros of Tchias HaMesim that rest within the technology of the Zohar Kadosh. And so the awareness of depth that the Zohar Kadosh awakens within a person's mind is potent enough to allow a person to find what they need, Masha Libam Chafetz, within one line of the Zohar Kadosh. It's no longer about the content. It's no longer so much about the amount that a person swallows, but the one word that a person chooses to think about, or the one line that a person chooses to awaken that ancient memory of Gan Eden within their minds. That's enough to bring them into contact with the depths of the Zohar Kadosh. But then there are going to be times. There are going to be times where the Torah HaKadosha is trying to reorient us back to a different type of perspective. And it's not a different perspective in the sense that it's no longer looking for depth, but it's a perspective of such depth and a need for depth upon depth upon depth upon depth, and the never-ending desire to search out the origins and a radical search on the origins, that the depth is so deep that the only way that it can be revealed is by way of the surface level. The only way that it can be revealed is by way of the surface level. The surface level is the pshat, the surface level is the pashut, the surface level is all that exists in this moment right now. And in this place of the depth, what is revealed to a person is the omek pshat, the simple meaning, that which is present in the osios themselves, that which is written on the page. it is so deep that a person cannot even begin to attempt to unpack the depth that is inherent within those external markings, those letters, those asvan de kedosha, those 22 letters. The depth is so deep that to even begin to seek out the depth inherent within the external casing of the letter is to imply the possibility of uncovering the depth, which is an impossibility. And memela, what happens when a person encounters the truest depth, which is the endless depth of the Torah, the infinite possibility of the Torah itself, the only orientation that one has is to return back to the simplest expression, which is irreducible in its presence, which is the osios themselves, the letters of the Torah itself, with no seeking out anything deeper. Like the Vilna Gaon says, and Rav Menachem Mendel Shklov, Schus Yogan Aleinu brings it down in the introduction to the Gruz commentary on Mishlei, which Rav Menachem Mendel Shklov, Schus Yogan Aleinu wrote. He was that type of Talmud of Rabbeinu Hagra. And he explains that he heard from his Rebbe that in truth, a person cannot begin to understand the depths of Pshat, the depths of simplicity, without understanding the depths of mystery, the depths of secrets. And a person cannot come to understand the depths of secrets without understanding the depths of simplicity. This is also what the Rashash was Megala in his Hakdama of Rechovas Nahar and in Nahar Shalom, that hidden within the Pshat itself is the Oimek HaPshat, is the Oilamis Ad Ein Sof, is the secret of Erchei HaKinuyim Bilvad, that all that exists is the orientation and the language with which we use to describe our positioning and our relative positions to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is the secret of what the Talmidim of the Baal Shem Tov referred to as Hispashtus Agashmias, as the Bach points out in terms of Limud Torah Lishma, that it's meant to come to a place of Hispashtus Agashmias, where all that exists is the Hapshata, the abstraction, to come back to the place of the irreducible markings of the ink itself. That's the Pashat Pshat. And when it's time to uncover the depth of the depth, which is only possible to be expressed in the ordinary nature of expression without any feeling whatsoever that implies a presence of a depth, because all that is capable of holding the depth of depth is the surface itself. So the surface reveals itself without any reminder of the depth. And that's why perhaps there's no Zohar Kadosh in Parshas Re'eh. Because when it comes to Parshas Re'eh, when it comes to Moshe Rabbeinu conveying the message of choosing to see in this world, when it comes to Moshe Rabbeinu expressing Re'ei anoichi noisen lefnechem hayoim bracha v'klala, that come and see, as the Onkelos says, as Targum Onkelos says, Chazei dayana yahav kadmeichon yoim adan barcha levaten. Chazei dayana, come and see me here. Come and see me here. Come and see Re'ei Anoichi. There is something so profoundly deep and yet simple at the very same moment about that deep call of Anoichi, that there's no depth necessary to it. There's no explanation necessary to it. There was hishtoimumus. There was the departure of the neshama from the guf as a result of his pashtius agashmias, which is rooted in the pashat pshat of all things, the very surface expression of oilam hazeh mamish betmunaso, in the shape of it, and the ability to uncover the osios hakadoshos hidden within there. Re'ei anoichi noisen lefnechem hayoim bracha v'klala. See that here in front of me right now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has prepared a reality where I can take the osios and spell brachos, or I can take the osios and, God forbid, spell the opposite of brachos. There's no depth to it. That's all that exists. The letters exist. That's what Rashi comes onto. That's what Chazal come onto. In terms of Es HaBracha, that's what the Balaturim comes onto. That the bracha itself is the osios of Aleph through Taf, the ability to see the osios themselves, as the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh said, B'chol os v'os, yesh oilamos neshamos ve'elukus. Each and every letter holds the infinite storehouses of the light of infinitude that connects the neshama with the Torah itself in the os itself, contemplating the letters, the shapes of the letters, the recognition, like we spoke about by Motzei Tisha B'Av, that each and every letter holds within it the full unity of above, below, through the secret of the middle. Every letter is just another aleph, the Torah of Anochi. When it comes to the Torah of Anochi, there is no depth. It's so deep that it can only be expressed without any conversation about its depth, which is why perhaps there's no Zohar Kadosh in Parshas Re'eh, because our eyes are gazed at the externality of it. Re'eh Anochi, look at the land of Eretz Yisrael, look at your life, look at Hashgacha Pratis, look at every moment in your experience in the sensual orientation of it with all of the human experience inherent within it, and see the light of Anochi. See the light of Anochi, Zak the Heliga Kamarna, that the light of Anochi is expressed in the bracha, and it's also expressed in the klala, because the klala is just that which has yet to be revealed as a bracha in the secret of 100 brachos a day. 100 brachos a day, which is the kuf of klala, which is the secret of transforming the arur, transforming that cursedness into a site of bracha. Because when a person comes to uncover the alufa shel olam and the osios that are meir and mitnotzeits in each and everything, a person comes to behold the secret of ein oid milvado mamish, of es hashmayim ve'es haaretz, of the unity between Shemayim and Aretz, of the osios of Shemayim being Meskala in the Aretz, and the osi of the Aretz running upwards up to Shemayim, and the unity of the osios of Aleph to Taf and Taf to Aleph, which we said is the secret of from the beginning to the end and from the end to the beginning. On the art side of Rav Aaron yesterday, we said that that's the secret of Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is the secret of from the bottom up back to the beginning. It's the secret of the Tuf Almond, the Kisufin, the Os Tuf, which is the lowest letter. It's the end letter. It's the 400 men of Esav. It's the concealment upon concealment upon concealment upon concealment ad infinitum to the lowest degree possible. But it's specifically from there that the engraving takes place and the pivot takes place, and a person is able to transform all of the klalos into a site of bracha. And the Tuf goes all the way up to the Aleph, like we say, by Musaf on Shabbos, by Tachanta Shabbos for Tzitzo Korban, which is the secret of Tashrak, Taf Shin, Reish Kuf. So what we're doing is we're unifying the Aleph down to the Taf and the Taf back up to the Aleph, and the secret of Re'eh Anoichi Noisin Lefnechem Hayoim Bracha V'Klala. There's no depth. There's no need to look at the depth. Everything that we possibly need to see is right in front of us. See Anoichi. Because in truth, as the Heilige Rimon ever points out based on the Zohar Kadosh, that the Aseret Dibros, all that really came out, all that really is still echoing within the very fabric of existence and the very texture of existence and the very sound waves of existence, which reverberate through the self, through the chords of the neshama, as we transition from the 7-chord nature of the soul, which is Ilam HaTeva, to that 8-chord nature of the song of the Beis Hamikdash, which will be the secret of Az Yashir, of drawing the Aleph down into the Zion, which is illuminating our natural lives and our natural orientation to the world with the secret of the Aleph, which is the Shir Pashut Kafel Meshulish Meruba, to find the song of ourselves within that opening of our minds to reality itself, to see the bracha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu here right in front of us. Zedor Dorshav, the generation of seekers who seeks out the presence of the Rabbeinu Shlalem in Re'eh Anochi. There's no need for the Zohar Kadosh there. The Zohar Kadosh is revealed within the text of the Torah itself. The light of Rashbi is burning within the Osios of Moshe Rabbeinu right here. Re'eh Anochi. Re'eh Anochi Noisin Lefnechem Hayoim Bracha V'Klala. Bracha V'Klala. The secret of the good and the secret of the negativity that is there to be revealed as good, thereby doubling the revelation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's Re'eh Anochi, the silent Aleph of Anochi that came out from the mouth of HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kavyachol, that reverberates throughout history. The secret of the Yud above and the Yud below being connected through the Vav. The mind is the Vav, the eyes are the Vav, Re'eh Anochi. The eyes draw down the Hamshacha, as Rabbi Nachman points out in Torah Ayin Vav. The eyes create the light of reception. The eyes, when I look out, there's a light that emerges out of my eyes outwards, which is like the Aleph to the Tuf. And then when my vision ends, it reverberates back from the Tuf to the Aleph in the secret of Or Choser. And the Histaklis is Oisa Kli. The Histaklis, looking, creates a vessel, meaning to say, looking at reality, engaging with reality, finding the bracha of Anoichi within reality and within the klala itself is the depth of the depth. It's the oimek mikol oimek, and therefore there does not need to be a Zohar HaKadosh. There does not need to be a Zohar HaKadosh because the light of Rashbi is illuminated over here. Look at what Onkelos is saying. Chazi dayana yahav kad meichon yoim adain barcha v'levatin. Chazi dayana, come and see, I'm right here. Rosh Tevos Chada. Rosh Tevos Echad, the unity of the Torah Shebechsav and the Zohar HaKadosh, to the degree that the Zohar HaKadosh doesn't even have to say anything because it's inherently rooted and connected to the Torah Shebechsav, the full yichud of Moshe and Rabbi Shimon, where the light of Rabbi Shimon no longer needs to reveal itself because it's nichlal within the light of Moshe Rabbeinu, that all of the tzaddikim are coming down from Moshe and eventually going back up to Moshe. And when the Zohar HaKadosh is nichlal within Torah Shebechsav, in the secret of Re'eh Anochi, in the secret of the Eden Stima'ah, in the secret of drawing down Gan Eden and being me'oichle haman, eating the man itself, drawing down that light of the bracha of Anochi into my mind, I have the ability of uncovering the secret of the depths of the depths. Es habracha, the bracha of the Aleph through the Taf, the secret of the osios, asher tishma'un, that I hear, that I listen, that I draw down into the osios of bina, el ha-mitzvos, to draw down into olam ha'asiyah, Hashem Elokeichem, the unity of Tiferes and Malchus, asher anoichi, going back up to the light of Keser, mitzav eschem hayom, right here, right now, in this moment. Here, there's no other place. Yom Adain, in this day, Yom Adain, the Ana Mepaked Yachyon Yom Adain, says Uncle Us, on this day that I'm arriving in front of you. On this day, the Targum says that I'm arriving in front of you. Hayoim b'koilei tishma'u. That's the secret of the bracha. The bracha is unfolding right in front of a person. Oilamecha tir'eh b'chayecha. When a person opens up their minds in the secret of oilamecha. Oilamecha is oilam chaf pshuta, which is the secret of keser. When a person opens up their life to uncover the light of keser, to uncover that chaf at the heart of Anochi, which reminds me the capacity of my imagination to uncover the blessing right here, right in front of me, then I can uncover Mashiach Tzidkenu right here, right now. I can open up the room of the Vitebsker, because in front of me in these osios, they're osios machkimos, and the letters are illuminating to the degree that the Zohar is nigla, and there's no more need for Rashbi to be Megala, that Torah in the cave, but rather it could be revealed from Har Sinai itself, like we do every year, where we intimate to the fact that Lag BaOmer comes before Shavuos. We awaken the receptivity of the Zohar HaKadosh prior to accepting upon ourselves the light of the Torah HaKadosha as expressed in Torah's Moshe on Yom HaShavuos, because the opening is the depth upon depth upon depth, that recognition, the Mesiras Nefesh, for the Omik HaDvarim, for the recognition that I'm again going to receive the Osios HaMachkimos, the Aleph Beis, that I learned from my Rebbe when I first began Cheder, when I first began school, when I first began processing, when I first began trying to understand that even though I'm receiving that Aleph Beis again, nevertheless, the Aleph Beis is perpetually renewed in its infinite depths as revealed by the light of Lag BaOmer. Of Gal Einai Va'abita Niflaos Misarasecha. Come and let me reveal the wondrous depths hidden within those letters, the Nafal Os, those letters that have fallen under graspability, and remind me again the infinite depths of that which is present in front of me. As the Goin Mevilna stood up for his Rebbe who taught him the Aleph Beis, and he said, "This is the person that taught me everything." And as the Heilige Rav Menachem Mendel of Shklov points out in his biur on the Idrazuta Mayim Adirim, that every single Chiddush in Torah, every single Chiddush in Tefillah, every single Chiddush in orientation towards God and the infinite is fundamentally just a rearranging of the original Aleph Beis that a person has learned in their life. And the secret of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh not entering into Eretz Yisrael, but being Zoichet to grasp the light of Eretz Yisrael when he forgot everything and he remembered the Aleph, the Beis, the Gimel, that the Lubavitch Rebbe taught us, if you know Aleph, teach Aleph. Not because the Lubavitch Rebbe was saying, if you know even the littlest bit, teach the littlest bit. That's also true. But what the Lubavitch Rebbe is also saying is that every little bit that the Yid knows is the secret of Aleph. It's the Aleph of Anochi, which is perpetually emerging from Har Sinai, reminding us of the unfathomable depths and the extraordinary depths that are hidden within the Pashtus itself. Arming ourselves with eyes of bitachon, eyes of Rashbi, eyes of Moshe Rabbeinu, that have the capacity to see the infinite depth of the Yid in front of us, the infinite depth of the mitzvah in front of me, the infinite depth of the moment in front of me, the ability to uncover the Es HaBracha, the Aleph Beis again, to reorient myself. Re'eh Anoichi, I see it's ever changing, and I also see that it's tamid and perpetually caught up in my impossible ability, the inability to grasp the essence. The Heilige Meshiloach says as follows, in my humble opinion, one of the most significant Torahs. Why does it say Anoichi Hashem Elokecha? Why is the first Dibra Anoichi Hashem Elokecha? Why doesn't it say Ani? Ani Hashem Elokecha, that I am Hashem your God. Why Anoichi with the Chaf? What are we adding with the Chaf? And Zak the Heilige Ishbitzer, that had Hashem written Ani Hashem Elokechem, then it would have implied that Hashem had given himself over completely and emptied himself out to the degree that there was nothing left to be revealed, and we had a full grasp of the infinite structure of the Torah and of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Zak the Meshiloach, such an idea is kfira and impossible, and therefore the Chaf, which is the Chaf HaDimyon, which is perpetually reminding me that all of my ability is just an imagined grasp of the infinite light, but every time I thought I grasped something, I come back to knowing that I don't know anything at all, and I come back to dreaming once again with the recognition that I thought I knew, but I didn't know, and I uncover the openness and the possibility of drawing down perpetually unfolding blessing in my life by renewing the osios of Tefillah and the Torah. That's all rooted in the Chaf HaDimyon, as the Heilige Bas Ayin says, Lech Lecha. What's the beginning of the journey of Avram Avinu? Lech lechaf hadimyon. That's the secret of Olamecha Tira B'chayecha. Ashrecha. The secret of Ashrecha is Ashrei Chaf, the Chaf Hadimyon. The fact that Re'eh Anochi, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have placed everything in front of me. I don't need to make recourse for the depths upon the depths, because everything is revealed right here, right now. And in that secret of Re'eh Anochi, we don't need the Zohar HaKadosh. We don't need the beckoning unto the depths, because we know that the depths are impossibly impossibly deep. And the only thing that we can do to potentially grab hold of the depth is to focus on that which is present in front of us right now. The person in front of me, the moment in front of me, the word in front of me. As I heard a tremendous, tremendous story from a very dear friend that somebody the Rebbe Reah sent somebody to find out where the Rebbe Rashab was holding. I believe it was that line, or somebody sent someone to the Balatanya to find where they were holding in davening. And they came back and they said that they're holding by Vayivarech David. They're holding by Vayivarech David. And the tzaddik responded, it's impossible. They're not holding by Vayivarech David. They're either holding by Vayivarech or they're holding by David. It's impossible for a person to be holding by both. And in this place, when we uncover this light of finding the depths in front of us, in the Oimek HaPshat, where I no longer need the Zohar HaKadosh, we can uncover a deep, deep Nakuda that Chazal themselves were asked by the Sabbath Bayasuna of Emsiusa de Alma Heichanu, where is the center of the world? Where is the center of the world? Where is the center of existence? Where is the innermost point of reality? And they said, here, it's right here. And bring a ruler and we'll measure it. And Zok the Heilige Rabbi Nachman in Torah Chavdalad that the impossible and unfathomable depths of Keser Elyon, which is the secret of that Chaf HaDimyon, which is added to Anochi, to remind me that I will never come to the depth of depth, and therefore the only hope that I have is to grab hold of the surface itself and the irreducible nature of the surface and the Osios Machimos and the Aleph base of it all, and the deepest secrets imaginable of Emasai Ka'asimar Kesheyafutsu Ma'enosecha Chutza Ma'ayanos Chaf, the Os of Chaf, that Chaf HaDimyon, that reminder that I always have to come back to the Aleph base. I always have to come back to the Aleph base. The secret of Ke'ev, the secret of the pain of exile, the pain of boredom, the pain that comes down when a person loses sight of the depth upon depth and they fall into the boredom and the stuckness and the emptiness of what they feel reality is. That's the shorish of ke'ev, of pain. But when a person opens that word up and they uncover the aleph base and the chaf hadimyon, so you take the chaf hadimyon and you reorient yourself to the aleph base and you uncover the secret of ka'av, the secret of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who is ka'av, u'kemelech, who's mashpia on us, the rachamim rabim ka'av, rachamim rabim ka'av. And the Rebbe writes as follows. Ravit Shammai wrote, I'm going to read the words themselves because they're so powerful in terms of bringing down this Nakuda. These are words that the Rebbe brought on Motzei Tisha B'Av, which is the secret of revealing the Tov Av, the secret of the goodness that is inherent within each and every letter of the Aleph base, like we said, which is the secret connection of above and below through each and every moment in a person's life, each and every os. The Hashem Yisbarach Ya'azor B'schus HaRebbe Me'Lublin, Schus Yogan Aleinu, the Rebbe was talking about the Chayze Me'Lublin, whose yahrzeit is on Tisha B'Av, because we know that the Heilige Chayze, we don't know, but the Heilige Chayze wanted to bring about Mashiach Tzidkenu Berachim Rabim no matter what. And ultimately, what happened was that his day of Petira was a certain hitznoitzitz of that arrival of Mashiach Tzidkenu, which can only be revealed by way of Tisha B'Av right now, until the transformation of Tisha B'Av into the secret of Geula. So the art said, of that deep vision, of that Re'eh Anoichi, of that Choyze, who was able to see Anoichi in everything, who all he wanted was the goodness to be revealed, of Toiv Hanira V'Hanigla, which is the Osios and our ability to demand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu take the Tzara and transform it into Ritzei, take the Nega and transform it into Noga, take the difficulty and transform it into illumination. So in the light of the Choyze Melublin, this meaning to say, the Rebbe says the tzaddik knew all of the secrets, and in the merit of the tzaddikim, we also get to know about the secrets. And the main thing, ha'ikr sheyesh lichanes b'pshitus shel tzaddik emes shu ish pashut l'gamrei, the or of pashtus, the or of that which is present, the avoda of derech eretz kadmel Torah, of kol makom shani holech and holech rak eretz Yisrael, and the secret of the bas ayin, and the secret of looking in the re'ei anochi, and signa nekuda of anochi, and the tiny drop of ink of the yud of the bas ayin, that tiny nekuda where the Bas Ayin learned from the impoverished money collector who came to visit him in Chutz La'aretz, who told him that in Eretz Yisrael the stones on the ground are in truth diamonds. Evan Masu Abanam Haisel Pina. And it took the Bas Ayin some time before he was able to reveal the secret of the diamond, the secret of the Yahalom that rested within each and every stone, and the Evan Masu Abanim Haisel Pina, and the Yichud of the Av and the Ben, and the secret of the Osios, which are connecting above and below. And again, that's the Bas Ayin who said, Lech Lecha, go to the Chaf HaDimyon, because without the Zichuch of Dimyon, of Kol Mi Shadar Be'eretz Yisrael, Doime Sheyesh Elakayas, Rav Tzadok says, a person has to utilize the imagination, because externally speaking, it's just Pashat Pshat. It's just Pashat Pshat, as Rabbi Nachman said. The first vision of Eretz Yisrael is that it's just Pashat Pshat, and then a person searches for the Zohar on Eretz Yisrael, and a person can't find it. Only then does a person come to see that, oh my goodness, the light of the Zohar is included within the Pashat Pshat itself, and the stones themselves of Eretz Yisrael are the diamonds. And in Parshas Re'eh, we don't have a Zohar Kadosh. And the Rebbe says that the Iker is the avodah of the Ish Pashut L'gamrei. Kamo David HaMelech alav hashalom, David HaMelech who danced with all of his might. Kamo Shekasav Marenu Harav Nasan, as Rabbi Nasan writes in Likutei Halachos Hilchas Mincha Halacha Zayin, Kamo Shekasav Sham. And as Rabbi Nasan writes there, based on the fact that Rabbi Nachman said he was able to enter into Eretz Yisrael. Why? Because he was able to enter into Katnus Shabakatnus, the lowest of the low. And in order to be Zochah to Eretz Yisrael, which is the Gadlus Shabagadlus, the highest of the high, he needed to be able to encounter the Katnus Shabakatnus. And to one degree or another, the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh wasn't able to be Zochah to the Gadlus Shabagadlus of Eretz Yisrael because he wasn't Zochah to the experience of the Katnus Shabakatnus. Now, whatever that means, every koach that Rabbeinu had is beschus his great-grandfather, the Baal Shem Tov, in the secret of the unfolding generations, which are based upon the prior generations and the prior Giluyim, as we've spoken about. But nevertheless, in this context, Rabbi Nosson says as follows, that the katnus shabakatnus, that a person needs to go through on their way towards Eretz Yisrael, on their way towards the Pasha Pshat, that appears to have no Zohar attached with it, to the secret of Reah Anochi, hu ba'atzmo sod hagadlus shabagadlus. We generally understand that there's a katnus shabakatnus, a smallness of smallness, that brings a person eventually to a place of the greatness of greatness. V'lo shehem shnei makomos, but zokt the Heilige Rebbe, in the name of Rabbi Nosson, a person should not make the mistake and think that the Gadlus Shabagadlus and the Katnus Shabakatnus, the lowest point and the highest point, are two separate places. Lomar ki'ilu sha'katnus shabakatnus nechnasim el Gadlus Shabagadlus, as if a person goes through the Katnus Shabakatnus in order to arrive at the Gadlus Shabagadlus. Ela sha'hanekuda ha'emsa'is shehi katnus the katnus harihi atzma gadlus the gadlus, but rather the very innermost point, that secret yud of the basayin, that irreducible point that exists when all depth is emptied out. And what is revealed is the irreducible depth of the simple expression itself in the secret of the Aleph Beis. I come to realize that Nekuda Pnimius is both the Katnus Shabakatnus as well as the Gadlus Shabagadlus. Dahainu Shadavar HaMelech hu ba'atzmo gam b'chinas tefillah la'ani hu gam b'chinas Moshe Rabbeinu. Meaning to say that we say that there's going to be a yichud between Moshe and David, between the lowest level and the highest level. In truth, they're the same exact level, and the yichud of Moshe and David is the secret that they're the same exact thing. And the tefillah la'ani, and that impoverished prayer of the self that has no capacity whatsoever, in the light of the bittul of Moshe Rabbeinu, they're one and the same. The neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu that is hidden within David HaMelech. Machma shepartzav hachison nizdachich kamo partzav hapnimi. And the secret of the externality of the world, the pashat pshat of the world, being refined to reveal within it the hidden depths that have always already been there. And Zok the Heilige Rebbe, Kamosha Eretz Yisrael, just like Eretz Yisrael, he ba'atzma gam katnus shabakatnus. It's also the katnus shabakatnus. It's also that place of har grizim and har eval. It's also that place of apparent bracha and klala. While in truth, the klala is only going to be revealed to have been the capacity to reveal more and more bracha. Eretz Yisrael itself is katnus shabakatnus, the gamba b'chinas gadlus shabagadlus, and it's also at the very same moment the greatness of greatness. But b'chinas ani v'ayin kachada, and the secret of something and nothing at once. Shiflus v'remus b'vasachas, the smallness and the impoverishment of the self when it empties itself out, and the capacity and the strength of the self in orientation with its real mission at the very same moment in the secret of Reisha de lo Isyada. To end, Zok the Heilige Kamarna. The Heilige Kamarna says as follows, that the secret of Re'eh Anoichi is that wherever a person finds themselves, they have to always hold on to that Nekuda of Anoichi, that Nekuda of Mesiras Nefesh, that Nekuda of the Yechida Shebenefesh, that Nekuda of the irreducible bond that exists with the Neshama and its creator. And at any moment, says the Heilige Kamarna, a person can run upwards to the light of Mashiach Tzidkenu at any moment. Listen to the words of the Heilige Kamarna in Heichal Bracha. He says as follows, after describing how really the bracha and the klala are both fundamentally connected to the expression of the bracha, and it's only by way of going through that desert of the klala that a person will come to understand the depth of the bracha. So, Zak the Heilige Kamarna, V'oid, Amarnu, we said, Re'ei Anochi, that a person has to see Anochi. And what we're describing is that it's the simple depth of the Pashat Pshat to the degree that there is no need for recourse to actual depth in the Zohar HaKadosh because the depth is revealed. Re'ei Anochi, come and see the secret of Anochi. Shatamid tashkiach nekuda yudi shalcha, that always pay attention and guard over the innermost point of your Yiddishkeit, the innermost point of your heart of being a Yid. Shehu meishorish ha'avos Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, that is given over to you by way of gift through Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, shelo yekalkel chalila, not to let go of your belief in that place, not to allow it to be broken. V'yanimshach l'sharish kedusha, and a person should always allow themselves to be drawn to the roots of their holiness. L'takein nafshecha, to rectify their soul, be'emes, in truth, because there are many mistakes that a person can make in this world. A person can become intoxicated on the externality and forget about the depths of the externality. Ki harbe ta'us. There's a lot to mistake. Ma'atin yesh, and there's very few who actually do this properly. Al kain lo ta'amin ba'atzmacha klal. Do not believe in your capacity. It doesn't mean think low about yourself, but come to terms with the fact that everything is an ultimate gift and everything is given over directly from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and there but for the grace of HaKadosh Baruch Hu go I, and it's only because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mashpia, my neshama into me at this moment, that I don't find myself thrown across the world. And a person has to always come to terms with letting go in that das of David Melech and Moshe Rabbeinu, of va'anachnu ma or tefillah la'ani. That afal pisha tira oischa im madregos gedolos. Even if a person sees themselves and thinks that, look at me, I'm a person who has come to find the depths of the levels of connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I have so much depth, I can grasp the Zohar HaKadosh. Umoichin kedoshim, I know all of the depth, b'ha'ara nifla'a, with a profound light. Ad klois hanefesh, to the degree that I'm running upwards to Shemayim me'eno edam haba. Even though a person is tasting the depth of the depth, al ta'amin ba'atzmacha klal. Do not assume that this is the given nature of the human, because it's not. The given nature of the human is to be drawn down to the chitzonius adavarim. That's the nature of the guf, because it's so potent in the light that will be revealed within it afterwards, in the secret of the Shir Meruba. And so a person should not come to believe in themselves klal. The tamdi and nafshecha v'libcha meich v'shofel lifnei koinecha. You should always have a shiflus and a simcha. A shiflus and a simcha. A shiflus and a simcha, the bittul and the joy that comes about by way of bittul, and the secret of the condition to being able to say that the middle of the world is right here, right now, says Rabbi Nachman at the end of Torah Chaf Daled, is simcha. If I can draw down light of joy into this moment, then I have the ability of opening up the pshat and uncovering the depth of the depth that rests in it. And that's the recognition that I don't know anything at all, and that I don't have a grasp at all. And that even though I know the entirety of the Zohar, it doesn't necessarily mean that I know the Aleph Beis. Because it's very simple for a person to connect themselves to the klala instead of the bracha when looking at this world. It's very easy for a person to become intoxicated on the externalities and to judge things unfavorably and to allow themselves to be intoxicated by reality and intoxicated by the world as if the world is the fundamental meaning of all things and that there's no depth within the external nature of things. A person should not believe in themselves. You should always be aware. You should always be aware of the fact that it's not through your strength. Sha'amar or Maran or Yisrael. Eish harivash. The fire of the Baal Shem Tov, he taught us, the shver ich sheyesh ish ba'olam sheshamea Torah mifuma de kutshbrichu ve'eno ma'amin la'atzmo shelo yidchena lunukva de toim rabba. The Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh said, the difficult thing is that in this world you could be a person who receives Torah from the mouth of the Ribbono Shel Olam, literally a person who receives Torah from on high, to be able to draw down Torah, well springs of Torah, to people who are interested in it. But at the same moment, that person must be fundamentally aware that in the next moment, without any deviation whatsoever, they can find themselves in nukva de tohim rabba, the depths of the depths of the depths of smallness. The depths. Why? Because the katnish shebekatnish is the gadlish shebegadlus, and they're the same thing, and it's dependent on the das, it's dependent on the re'ei anochi. As long as a person doesn't forget the nukud of anochi, then they're not going to fall there. Because we need hachna'a amitis, lifya shofel min Yisrael. We have to empty ourselves out and make ourselves available for even the smallest person in Klal Yisrael. And only a leiv batuach, only a broken heart, a leiv nishbar that has bitachon and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we are not going to forget the nekuda of anoichi, nekudas Yehudi, the secret point of being a yid, shabo, that it rests within us. That will illuminate the path for us. And Zok the Heilige Baal Shem Tov, in the name of the Kamarna, or the Kamarna in the name of the Baal Shem Tov, that the reason a person has to guide and provide sustenance to this place within themselves, to the innermost point within themselves, is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu has placed us in a world where there appears to be bracha and klala, where when looking at Re'eh, when looking at the externality of the world, we have the tendency to become drunk on the externality of it. But what the Heilige Kamarna says is that when a person listens to the innermost point of the neshama, when a person comes to a place of understanding the true secret of Kedusha and doesn't allow themselves to become intoxicated by the external shapes of Kedusha and what they think is Kedusha or what they think is going to bring them close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, at that point, Zok the Heilige Kamarna, that a person has the ability of closing their eyes and running up and tasting the light of Mashiach. Tasting the light of Mashiach immediately, without delay, of a teikef umiyad. when a person elevates themselves, when a person connects themselves to that light of Kedusha, what they access immediately is the light of Mashiach. They access the unity of the Os Aleph. They access the Re'eh Anoichi. And so again, all of this is to say why there's no Zohar Kadosh on Parshas Re'eh. Because perhaps in the Katnish of Katniss, in the Osios themselves, is hidden the Gadlish of Gadlus. And when it comes to looking at the bracha of this world, when it comes to looking at the bracha of Eretz Yisrael, when it comes to opening up one's eyes to receive that what means to be a Ben Adam at the end of history with a nishama that's being mayor in the guf, and our ability to be mahapich, even the doubled concealment and the lowest concealment imaginable, into a light of bracha. So it's then that we begin to understand that the Pasha Pshat contains the deepest recesses of Sod, the irreducibility of the simplicity of the matter, as the Leshem describes in his understanding of the writings of the Arizal, and Tzazuk hints to in the process of experiencing Hasaga. Again, these are sugyos that we've discussed and that we'll continue to discuss, Be'ezras Hashem.